welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is the BMW M3 Competition Touring. I've actually got another car in the garage as well today because I've got the Alpina B3, because it strikes me that the M3 Touring, we're all celebrating this is the first time we've got a sort of M in touring mode in 3 Series, but actually that Alpina B3 has been doing a very similar job for a number of years, and I was quite intrigued how they drove back to back. So I borrowed a friend's B3 and I've been running around in that, as well as the M3 Touring you see here. It's only available with xDrive in the UK, and it's a £2,000 premium over the regular M3 Competition here in the UK. That's sort of the end of the good news on the pricing, because it is actually 80,550 before extras. And if I look at this car, which has carbon brakes on it and carbon pack, you'll see inside some crazy seats, all sorts of things. This car on the road, as you see it now, £100,150. £100,000 M3. I never thought we'd get there, but there's something to celebrate about this car, and it's stuffed full of intriguing details. Let's go and have a closer look. I did have an M3 Competition in the garage to review about almost 2 years ago, April 21. So I'm not going to make more references to its styling. I think enough has been said about its styling. I almost parked this one the other way around in here so we can get to the business end, the touring, as it were, with it, estate version, etc. But this has driver's pack, so you'll see bits of carbon fibre on this. Is the look growing on me? No, not really. I think it's highlighted in this particular hue. This is Isle of Man green. It's quite a loud green. Laser lights, I will mention again, they are just fabulous lights. They're the ones that have a number of LEDs, and if you have it set on auto, it's always high beam on the verges and then not in front of you. It's dipped for people coming towards you, but they are fantastic lights. Come around, and this has got 19-inch wheels on the front, and you'll notice the ceramic brakes on this particular car. They are a £7,995 option. If they're better than steel, I don't know. They perform. I can't see you're going to use this car on track, but I suppose being a press car, they've loaded it right up in spec. Interestingly, I noticed that the B3, the front is sitting on 20-inch wheels and 30 profile tyres, 255s I think they are, while this is 275, so wider, but 35 ratio. And actually the sidewalls are bigger on the M3 Touring than they are on the B3, and there was a little bit of torque steer going on with the B3 under power, and I do wonder if the 20-inch and ultra low profile tyres might have something to do with it. Anyway, back to M3 Touring. M3, they do this at M, and it really annoys me. Why do they have this little extra wing? Are they saying it's an aerodynamic something or other, but this strut that you feel that should support the mirror doesn't? It sort of ends there. It is in carbon fibre, which is all very nice. Black roof is standard all on M3 Tourings, and inside this has the ultimate pack, M driver's pack, and it includes the crazy seats, which we'll get to when we have a proper look around the interior. But it has the wrap-round dash as well, a very nice feature actually. And yeah, we'll describe the interior, but apart from getting in and out, it's a very good place to be in there. Reasonable space in the back. Funny enough, those crazy seats, they are, if you want them separately, they're about a £3,700 option. I would not tick the box, but it does offer a fair bit of space in the back, as you'd expect. Just get into the tyres again, 285 30 20s on the back, so a different size wheel front to back on the M3. And here we are. This is what we've all come to see, a Touring with a proper boot on it. At the back are very distinctive, those quad pipes and that Venturi. There's no mistaking this is M3 Competition over regular touring versions of the 3 Series. But the big news, look, we've got a tailgate and we've got a proper boot, and really very nicely done. A very nice feature is 2 buttons here. If I just press these, look at that. Seats flop down. I could take that out to get proper space, but you are, really good use of space in this thing. That's a proper estate car And another lovely feature I always think on BMWs, the fact that the rear hatch opens like that and you can get instant access to the boot area. Really well thought out, just a nice car. I'll also mention these badges. These are the 50-year celebration M badges. You pay an extra £300 to have this very distinctive badge that will only be available for their 50th anniversary. Right, let's have a look at the business end. Go and have a look at the engine. There we go. Right, we can't really see the engine, it's hiding under its usual cover, but something I wanted to point out, because obviously this car, you're going to compare it to cars like the RS4. Audi have stuck with a Quattro drivetrain, and that actually throws the engine quite a long way forward, because basically you get an engine and then you get the gearbox with the two drive shafts going out to the front wheels and a sort of regular gearbox at the back that then sends power to the back. And because of that layout, it means the engine always has to be in front of the wheels. Not so at BMW. So on the M3 xDrive, there is a transfer case on the back of the gearbox that has a drive shaft going to the front. And that means the engine is right back. If you come to here, the front of the engine is somewhere here, and you can see a lot of it is behind the line of the front wheels, and that means the weight distribution is much better on this M3 Touring than it is on an RS4. That's why they use the V6, because that means you've just got the 3-cylinder sort of size in front of the engine, but it's still a lump of engine in front of the wheels, and it means their front-rear distribution of weight is different. It's a fundamental thing. I mention it now, and I will see the differences when we get out on road, but really neat installation. Shame they haven't got the carbon that they had on the M2 CS and things like that, but a very good engine. It revs very freely, and peak power is 510 metric horsepower, 6250, and torque 479 pound-foot of torque, 650 newton meters. Plenty of grunt there. Let's have a quick look at the Alpina. As you expect from Alpina, a much more discreet sort of look. I love this Alpina badge down here. You hardly notice it, but as an ownership experience, you just, just tickles you, that sort of thing. You know you've bought an extra special version. This is obviously the previous version of 3 Series, but if you come round, very distinctive, the Alpina wheels, those radial spokes that we've come to love over the years, and then the graphics down the side. Nice in this grey and black, it's not too loud and proud, but the business end, B3 in black here, Alpina, no mistaking, and then the 4 pipes down below, and inside, more discreet, and an Alpina carpet, etc. They're very good at sort of the discretion. It's what people want, I think, from Alpina. It's what they expect. What they do is enhance the engine. And actually, compared to that M3, it's not bad value. B3 Touring today, 67,950, so about £12,000 less than the M3 Competition Touring, but horsepower, 460 horsepower and 515 pound-foot of torque. So actually got more grunt, more muscle in this car than the M3 Touring. Right, let's take the M3 Touring out, see how it drives. Yeah, first thing you have to mention is the seats. They're all right once you're in, but there is a technique to getting in and out of this car. And actually I've noticed, because this is 4-door being M3, this B-pillar is sort of in the way with these seats. They work way better in the M4 because you've got a bigger door and a bigger opening to get out. M3, they're pretty tight. Weirdly comfortable once you're in, but aggressive to go in and out of the car. Anyway, so much stuff to go through here. A very busy wheel, cruise controls and things over here. This one I can adjust what I want to see on the dash, and M1, M2 buttons, because obviously this car you can configure. We'll go through that in a moment. Under here, wireless charging, cup holders, a little glove box there. Quite like the M stitch on there. I know it's a little detail, but it's nicely done. Control heating and things, I'm afraid it's only on the touch screen. There are no buttons for that. Down here you can adjust the radio, turn it on and off, and put your heated screens on, but that's about it. But yeah, main control down here, and having lived with a BMW, their controller, it works actually. You do get very used to it. It works a treat, as does that. But the thing about this car, and I'm going to explain it here rather than wait until I'm out, is setup. There are numerous things you can adjust on this car, and I think this is a sort of something that's different about the M3 over a lot of its rivals. And I have all the choice there, so I've got engine, chassis, steering, brake, iDrive as well. And I can configure these buttons M1, M2. Now you've probably gone through a bit of this before, but all sorts of things. So I have M1 engine, Sports Plus, it's maximum direct response. Transmission, the speed of change, you can actually adjust that on there as well. Sports Plus on the chassis, I'm intrigued how that behaves on my tested bit of road. Steering and brake, Sport and Sport. To me, there should be no reason why they put steering and brake difference in there, especially brakes. Who's going to do that? DSC, so traction control off, just gives you access to a different four-wheel drive setup, and then two-wheel drive demands stability control is fully off. We'll get to that in a moment. There's traction control, start stops, M sound, etc. So all this is configurable, and the first time you get in this car you think, what is going on here? Really, because you've got these two buttons here, once you've done it, you've cracked it. And it works very well because you just have your favourite setup. Anyway, what we want to know is how this car drives. So I'm going to disappear off, get some heat into this engine, and then you'll be joining me on some better roads in a moment. This is all in normal mode, just to give you a chance to see what it behaves like. It's not that normal actually when you pull away like that. It's quite aggressive, and that is the difference, having driven Alpina and this back to back. There is a noticeable sort of sharpness to this immediately you set off in it, even in its softest mode. If I go to M mode, I'm sure I'm in road. Yeah, I'm just in normal road, not sport or track. But already there is a sense of M coming through, and I can remember that with the previous drive I had in M3 Competition. Also down here, just noise on the road, it was about 77 decibels on my test bit of road. So bit noisy, but not excessively so, not into Porsche land. I have to say I do like the layout of the dash in this generation of M3, that it gets away from having the iPad stuck to the screen when it's the full width of the dash like this, and it's very clear, typical BMW style. And the way the dash is actually laid out in front of me, and I've got heads up as well. The wheel doesn't feel quite as chunky as before, which is a good thing. Now, I'm just going to access my M1, and to do that I have to put MDM, a different traction control setting up, and then I can get M1 up. There we go, which is quite an aggressive setting, but it's only accessible if you do that. It's a bit odd how you have to have traction control off to access the other bits. You'd think it would all be integrated, but anyway, I'm still in a sort of auto mode, and I will boot it up the hill. Right, here we go. It is quite a snarl there. There is a 6-cylinder snarl, which is good. You know, I don't know how they've done it. It's twin turbo. I don't know if it's piped in, but there is quite an aggressive sound with it. It's odd, isn't it, how buttons have disappeared off the dash and to control things, and they've tried to put them all on screen, but they've continued to overload the steering wheel. If you think about this wheel, I have M1, M2, I have the paddles, I have all the cruise controls, I have the radio, phone, dash layout, etc. That's buttons have started to appear on the steering wheels, and they just can't stop themselves now. Oh, I've got a heated wheel down here as well. The other thing is really low geared. If I take it into second, 50 miles an hour in second. It's really short geared in the intermediates. I'm going to go back to normal now, just to try over this bumpy bit of road. I mean, it's sporty, but it's completely livable with. One thing of note though is steering. There's no doubt in it's actually, you know, electrically assisted. I mean, you can tell that because it's adjustable. It is a bit dead. I can't say it's any worse than RS4 or the Alpina, but there is, unfortunately, now the latest electric steers in these cars and all the lane assist and all this adjustable on steering, there is a lifelessness to the steering. It's very direct, it turns in okay, but there is no real feedback that you used to get not many years back. Might just put it into manual around here. Oh, I just lapsed up roads like that. Yeah, nicely done. I mean, I thought I'd start to feel the weight. This is 1865 kilos, I think it is. That's 85 kilos heavier than an M3 Competition with an X-Drive. And the other thing I'm not noticing is the stiffness of the shell. There's no sort of squeaks and rattles coming from anywhere in this car, which just might have crept in with the more open style right over a saloon without losing that rear bulkhead, but absolutely none of that. Feels very together. The brakes are sharp. I have got the carbon discs on this bike. I've got it set in comfort there. God knows what sport's like, but yeah, initial acquaintance, they are sharp. You've got to remember, actually, this is a fair bit heavier than the RS4. The one thing the Audi has on its side, it is lighter. I think it's 1745. It's 120 odd kilos lighter than this, but it hasn't got the horsepower. It's lower. It's 450 and it's lower torque as well. So this compensates by having that extra grunt on top. Can't get over. This is in normal mode and it's super sharp. Approaching my corners here, I was going to start some of the dislikes. I think one of my dislikes is actually there's so much adjustments with it. You're never sure if you got the right setting. But once you have, you won't have to look through all this. But it is a bit mind-boggling how many adjustments you've got now around here. Let's have a look back around here. Oh, that was good. That felt really good round there. That was in regular. I don't think I got it turned up. No, there is another setting beyond. In its normal setting, this is very accomplished. It doesn't sacrifice the fun by being the four-wheel drive. It has that feeling of rear drive and then sending power to the front where needed. And it didn't understeer on the way through there. That was impressive. Yeah, going through the dislikes. Another one. I'm not sure about the looks. I don't think if I'm spending £100,000, I shouldn't have this sort of divisive looks. I shouldn't be worrying about it, and it will always be there. I don't notice the looks from here. You can get it in a darker colour, but I don't understand where BMW are going with their styling. Positive side, looks very good from the rear, if a little heavy around the exhaust area, but the Touring, I don't know, just suits this car. It looks extremely desirable. I just wish they hadn't got such an aggressive beaver tooth sort of front end on it. And it's more expensive than I want it to be, but then everything seems to be more expensive these days. And these seats, I just couldn't live with these seats. I'm okay when I'm in here, but this is an everyday sort of car. And that's the whole point of having the Touring version. If I would spec the car like this, I would expect there would be divorce papers in the post very quickly, because it would drive you nuts getting in and out of this, especially if you did it on short journeys. Fortunately, there's plenty of likes. I think my number one like is just it's feisty. It's what I wanted. Oh, off we go. It feels up for it all the time. I know I'm in an M product, and that was the big difference between this and the Alpina, that has a more relaxed feel and hides what it can do under a cloak, and then has this wallop of torque, and then you're off, and then it goes quite soft. This always has an edge, just in the background. It has an edge that is quite engaging,
and I think, yeah, I would prefer it because of that. To just the ride and livability with it. I love how the hatch works, I love how it goes down the road, the automatic gearbox, 8-speed automatic in this, torque converter, not a dual clutch. It's just all so easy to live with, and it's not too extreme, apart from the seats. And then 3, just the level of performance. Sounds weird with 510 horsepower crazy M3, but it's not stupidly quick. It's a nice proper performance. You don't need any more than 500 horsepower, and it's 1800 kilos or something, so you just get to enjoy sort of ragging it a bit more often than if it had been crazy quick. So I like that about it. You know, against RS4, M3 Touring and the Alpina B3, this is the pick of the bunch for me. It does feel that extra bit special over the others, and it's just the handling. I think, going back to that layout, just the way it goes around here, it does not feel nose fed. It's just the way it punches out. Yeah, it doesn't feel nose led, it feels balanced. I'm not noticing the four-wheel drive. All I'm noticing is the way it hunkers down, it gets squats, and it takes off out the corner beautifully in a balance. And I'm sure its secret weapon is that layout. The fact it's much more balanced than its other rivals in front to rear, and how it deploys its horsepower. Some very clever people have worked all this out, and you can put it to, you know, four-wheel drive sports, and it just enhances it again. So yeah, it's a really special thing. I'm really pleased BMW has finally got round to producing an M3 Touring. What took you so long? So there you go, there's my review of the M3 Touring. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming on very soon.